Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with a special guest we have today, Catherine, and of course, your host, Farah, Dr. Laurent. We had some technical difficulties, but of course, we figured it out. We're nurses. So, welcome to the show. I appreciate it. Super excited to get into all of this talk about AI and business and how to build a personal brand. So, if you want to introduce yourself to the audience and say hello.
Hello, and thanks, Farah, for having me here. So I'm Catherine Boffman, and I am owner of Pulse Tech AI. And basically, I'm a former bedside nurse, and I turned to becoming an AI-powered content and business automation strategist. So you might be wondering what that means. Basically, I help wellness professionals scale their businesses through creating authentic personal branding using AI and putting that into their messaging so that it goes all the way through like their front end and back end of their businesses.
Okay, awesome. This is so great. So talk to me about what prompted you to want to start this business.
Well, I have been interested in marketing for quite a long time. Back in 2018, just really quick, I had lost my father and I was a bedside nurse. Strict hospital call off policies like didn't permit me to be there with my dad when he passed. And so it really launched me into wanting to do entrepreneurship. And I was like, okay, I got to figure out the marketing piece because if you have a business, you got to get out there.
Yeah.
So I invested over 25,000 into a marketing program. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but it was great. But I was really stuck because I struggled with writing and producing content. And so when AI came into the picture, it totally changed everything. And it just lit me up because I was like, all the things that I struggled with, gone.
Yeah. 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 And when I think AI has been around for a long time, it's been more prevalent, more talked about in the last couple of years. And I think more nurses are starting to use it just in their daily life for work. Obviously, healthcare has incorporated a lot of AI tools and aspects and things like that. But we want to focus today specifically on AI for business. So this is why I think it's so interesting what it is that you do, because, I feel like there's like two sides. Like some people are like, oh, why are you using AI for content creation? You should be original and and then there's the other side that's like, oh, well, it helps enhance ideas and makes things more efficient or whatever. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Specifically when it comes to, being original in content creation.
Well, I absolutely think it is being original if you know how to use AI right. Because you can just jump into Chat GPT and you can say, blah, 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 develop me, whatever. But it doesn't have any of your personal brand in it. And so when you learn how to use it, so I had this idea. So the idea came to me when I started learning about, how people develop like chatbots and AI agents and that kind of thing. Yes. So when they do that for a business, like on the back end to answer people's questions or whatever, they develop these databases, right, of information. And I had the idea, well, if you put your personal brand, everything around your business into a database, and then you go and plug that into AI, it can reference like who you are, what you stand for, who you serve, all of those pieces, like your story, everything that creates a personal brand. And then it's coming like it's a true reflection of you.
Right. It's like it's your brand voice, your messaging, everything is in alignment because it
Yes.
has everything there.
Yes.
So that's a great point. So let's get into personal branding because that's one of my favorite topics to talk about. And I think a lot of nurses don't really realize the power of what a personal brand can do. And there's a lot of misunderstandings around personal branding. So, and I'm actually working on a book, actually. about personal branding specifically for nurses, but I want to hear, you know, there's a lot of buzzwords around personal branding, but like, what does it mean to you, and what started making you interested about learning more about personal branding?
Well, I think for me, like personal branding, when you get it right, you start with like your social media, and you're building relationships and connections with people, right?
Mhm.
So the way to do that, I mean, how do you bring them in? And I kind of like to give this analogy, like how do you take them and give a warm handshake, pull them into your world, and show them what you have to offer without having to be salesy and all of that. And it's it's about building the like, know, and trust factor, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to be willing to put yourself out there, be relatable, that kind of stuff, right? So that you can actually, I mean, because we live in a digital world, but when it comes down to it, it really is about connection and helping people to feel that you really do care and that you're a person and you're not just this business, but you want to be the face of that business, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, those are all great points. And I think, you know, some people still struggle with that definition. And personal branding might seem different to one person than to what someone else thinks, like the interpretation of it. But I think you captured it, because in essence, it's really, you know, who we are as people, right? As a brand, because I look at it different than like these massive companies, right? Like if we want to look at it, you know, these big companies, is there a CEO? Is there a founder? Yes. A lot of companies, you may not know who the CEO or founder is, but they're functioning really well as a business because they just have so much money towards marketing and things like that. And I think a lot of people confuse marketing with personal branding in terms like they think it's interchangeable, but it's very different, right? Because like marketing is very short term. It's about like a goal, but like personal branding is everlasting, right? And it's sometimes evolves, but it's truly, like you said, like it's the essence of you, like who you are. And I talk to a lot of nurses or business owners, and a lot of times they say, well, I'm gonna create this business, but I want it to be separate than like me. But I'm like, but you are the brand, like it's you. Right? So like, what are your thoughts on that?
Where are my thoughts on that?
Yeah, like how some people try to separate themselves from personal branding, and they're like, well, you know, it's the business I'm trying to build. Because a lot of times people, I think, focus on the wrong things, especially as novice nurse entrepreneurs. I know I did it myself when I first started my business 4 years ago. You know, there are different aspects of personal branding, but I think what people think most of when they start a business, they think, well, I need a website, I need brand colors, I need the logo to be this, this, and this. And they obsess over that stuff, which is, in a sense, yeah, part of the personal branding, but it's not the main thing. But I think that's what people confuse it with. So what are your thoughts when someone doesn't want to create social media content, but they're like focused mostly on those things?
You're going to be totally stuck if you totally focus on, I think that's one of the mistakes that I was making in the beginning, was just focusing on trying to develop this website. And it's like, no, you got it backwards. Like you can just start with your social media, start building relationships and connections, and build it on pillars of whatever your values are, whatever your message is, and start developing those relationships. And then all of this other stuff, it will come together. But if you start with your website, like the biggest thing and problem, or even like hiring somebody to create a website for you, you are still discovering your brand, right? And what your message is. And so your website's going to be totally outdated by the time you even get started.
Yeah. And this is such a big component of, you know, what we talk about. And, you know, as a career coach, and I know you also help nurses in business and that, I think one thing that everybody typically struggles with is clarity, right? So I deal with a lot of new graduate nurses. A lot of them are unclear about what it is they want in their career. And then same thing in business. Like you said, if you're not clear about what your values are, what your purpose is for the business, what impact you want to make, who you serve, because a lot of times we want to serve everyone, right? Because we think we're limiting our potential income if we're only say, hey, we're serving this or we're solving this issue. And it's not really clear. And I think a lot of business owners struggle with that clarity piece, which if you can outline those things for your personal brand, then it's easy, right? And I think a couple tips that I have, I always tell people, like, when you ask, let's say 10 people that are close to you and you're like, hey, can you describe me in, let's say, 1 to 2 sentences? Or can you give me, when you think about me, what are like the top, let's say 3 to 5 words that come up, right? Because a lot of times personal branding is really perception of how other people are seeing you. And I think people don't understand that you have to manage your personal brand. So, what are some tips that you have for people to really get clear on their personal branding?
Yeah, I think you really nailed it. Like, one of the things that I really help people do is you need to niche down. Like, you get a very specific like client avatar. Who do you love to help? And what is it that you love to do? And just focus like on that one, maybe 1 or 2 things. And I think people think, well, if I just niche down, then I'm not going to reach anybody, or you know what I mean? I'm not going to find them. But it's like, no, you absolutely, in your personal branding and in your messaging, if you speak to like one person and their pain points, that's how you're going to draw people in, because they're actually going to connect with you. But if you try to speak to everybody and try to help everything, like, I think as nurses, we're used to serving so many different things, but at the same time, we have all these different departments. So kind of think of it like that, like specialize, like focus on what you do and let it grow from there.
Okay. Yeah. Those are great tips. And, let's say somebody who's watching this is interested, maybe in starting a business, or they are in business. Maybe they started a consulting company or coaching company, like a service-based business or whatever it is, but they feel stuck. They're not quite sure how they can use AI to help them in their business. What would you say the top 3 tips for them would be that you could give them?
Top 3 tips. So yes, like, I mean, I don't want to rehash this again, but it's writing out who your client avatar is. And then it's writing out what are their pain points that you're going to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And then writing out, okay, so we're going to create your personal brand story. So we need to know, what is it that led you? Because most likely, if you're choosing to serve these people, you've been through their problem, you've walked their path, and you've found a solution. So we want to get clear on what your stories are. Where did you learn? What transformation happened for you? And now, how are you helping these people get through it faster? And so writing that out, it's the internal work that needs to be done. And then that's when AI can come in to help you.
Yeah, those are some great points, because I think that's a great point, because I find typically most people, like you said, who do start businesses, they're typically helping their younger self, like 3 to 5 years prior to whatever it is that they've learned or that they're doing. So like for me, for example, like I said, as a new graduate nurse, I didn't have many mentors or, anything like a nurse career coach. And I was told, hey, you can't go to the ER. But I did. I made it there. And that was 20 years ago. But they're still telling new nurses that they can't get to where they want to be. and they have to start in med surg. So I literally was like, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help my younger self. And that's what I do. And like you said, something that really hit me, and I could tell, you were getting a bit emotional, and I didn't want to like press the issue. But this happens a lot in our nursing career, right? We're in nursing. We give our all, whether at the bedside or whatever we're doing. And then when we have an actual family issue that's happening or whatever it is, sometimes we're not given the grace, like you said, to take the time off. And it's very difficult, especially if you have young kids and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think this is what entrepreneurship for nurses is doing, is giving them the opportunity for freedom to start building their own thing. And we can't be in a better time frame for people to start businesses, right? So speak to me, I guess, about your drive, because I think a lot of nurses, say like, I want to start a business, or I started a business, but I'm not getting clients, I'm not doing well, but it's typically because they're not consistent, they're not putting in the work, they have a mindset or limiting belief, and then they get stuck in it. So like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, so many thoughts, but yeah, my drive. So, oh man, this is the thing. There's so many thoughts that you said, so many things. I'm like, okay, how do we help people? It is like the perfect time as a nurse. Like if you're working right now and you're thinking, I want to start a business, like this is the perfect time. Your income does not have to be capped. Yeah. And I think as nurses, we have these skills, like we are willing to do the work and we do hard work, right? And you can totally do it, but you need guidance and direction from people who have done it so that they can make it faster for you and so that you have clarity. Because when you're taking the right steps, you can move mountains really fast and you can have clarity.
Yeah. And, I think for me, we met on LinkedIn and we've been kind of supporting each other's content and stuff like that. One tip that I have to build your personal brand, because a lot of people struggle with this, they're like, well, I don't like social media. Okay, cool. But guess what?
That was me.
I'm like, cool, you don't like social media. Or they'll say this, they'll say, well, I have a business and, I don't need social media to get more clients, or I don't need social media to grow. Well, I disagree with that sentiment, right? I follow these huge, and this is going into marketing too, right? But I follow these huge business moguls like Gary Vee, which is like he has one of the biggest marketing agencies, right? Works with like Coca-Cola, all these big brands. And he is constantly telling people, if you have a business and you're not on social, and he means like every channel, you are missing out on business growth, right? Yeah, right. If you have a massive business and you're already a millionaire, then yeah, you probably don't need to be on social. You probably have a team that's doing it for you, whatever. But if you are a solopreneur, a nurse, you're just starting out, you're maybe in phase 1 to 5 years, trust and believe you need to be on social media, creating content.
Yeah.
Period. So what do you tell those people? Like you said, you struggled with it in the beginning. Especially being on video, I think is so impactful because people get to know you a little bit more than written posts. What are some of the struggles that you had, and what would you tell other people who don't want to be the face of their brand or, be on social for their business?
Okay, so I think it's a total shift in mindset because for some reason, I think when we, as nurses, we want to serve. That's like, it comes very natural to us. And so we feel like when we go onto social media that we're trying to sell something. And I think you have to shift your mindset and you realize like, no, I'm just going to put myself out there and I'm here to serve. I'm here to make an impact. And I'm going to help people. And I think also coming into, it's not just about creating content, but it's about building relationships with others in a similar space. And when you realize like you're not necessarily, even though you may have similar things, like we're doing similar things for our customers, it's looking for ways to collaborate. How can we help each other in business? And when you approach it from a relationship perspective and realize like you're with the whole personal branding idea, it's like, well, we can work together. And Farah, you're going to attract the people that you can help best because they're going to connect with what you share. And I'm going to connect with the people that need what I have to offer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just really building everybody.
Yeah. So that's one thing, right? So there's so many aspects that we could talk about. So one thing that I will say, like people that are fearful to come on video or even create content and stuff like that, they're like, well, what do I create? Like, I don't know. Okay. So number one, again, it goes back to clarity, like we talked about, and knowing what impact you want to create, what message are you trying to convey and demonstrate, what value are you putting out there, but you need to be clear. And then your messaging has to be in alignment with everything you're doing. So, you know, if you're just going out there creating content and it makes no sense, it's not helping people and it's random, then people are not going to be clear about what it is that you're doing. So that's number one. So you need clarity. Like you said, you need direction. And that's where coaches and consultants and advisors come in, like me and Catherine, right? We can help you. You've been doing this for a few years. But even if you don't choose to work with us, it doesn't matter. You still need to be clear in your messaging because people will be confused. And they say confused buyers, you know, they won't buy because they're confused. They don't know what you do. And this is so true on LinkedIn. Like there are so many people that are like, oh, I have this business that within 3 to 5 seconds, if I go on your LinkedIn page or your website or whatever, and I can't figure out within 5 seconds what you do, you need to get clear on your messaging, right?
Yes.
So that's a big one. And then, as you mentioned, we're here to serve, right? So we're solving problems and things. So when I figured that out, I'm like, this is bigger than just me. So like, if I don't have makeup on, I'll go on social media looking regular. I don't care. But that's part of that authenticity of building your brand. People don't want to see polished all the time. Right? They want to see the real. They're like sick of the, you know, fakeness. So that's part of the personal branding. And then also just like removing your feelings out of it because you're like, I'm here to serve. I don't have time to worry about what people think.
Right.
I'm here to serve and do my thing and make an impact. So once you, like you said, get that mindset right, then you really don't care because you're like, this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah. And this is me. And one of the things that I wanted to say, like a thought that came up is when you are stuck on what to share in content, if you will just be you and you'll share your stories, like the ones that suck, the ones that are great, like, not just everything that's great, like, oh, I live in this perfect world, but if you will share like the challenges that you've been through, that makes you real. And that gives you content. And then you tie it into your business and your mission and your purpose. People get it.
Right. Because you become relatable. And then that's what it is. And I find I probably need to get back a little bit more into storytelling in my content. Right. I watch a lot of podcasts and things like that. And it's not so much about going viral or whatever. But, you know, it helps if you go viral because people get to know you more. But really what it is like, what stories are you sharing? What are the lessons? How can people relate to you? And then the highest currency in personal branding is trust, right? As we talked about in business. So I don't care what you're marketing because your business will evolve, right? So I don't care what offer you have, but if people trust you, you're showing up consistently and giving value, then they're like, oh, I know Catherine. She does this, this, and this. Her values are this. She's this type of person. If she's coming out with this other offer, like I totally trust it. Like, let me jump on that. And that's what personal branding does. Marketing is more short term. Personal branding is like
yes,
longer term. And it's like establishing, like you said, those relationships, that trust. And even if people don't want to work with you per se, because they don't need your services, they could be like, hey, I know Catherine. She helps business owners with, AI and, blah, blah, blah. And that's the power of showing up, right? So for those people like, I'm not getting clients, nobody knows me, da, da, da. It's like, well, you got to get out there, right? So what would you say, what is like step one of when a client comes to you if they want to work with you?
Step one is everything that we've been talking about is answering these questions. So, like I said, with AI, yes, I use AI and I teach clients how to use it, but they've got to answer questions. And I've got a list of questions around who your client avatar is, what their pain points are, all those things, what keeps them up at night, just questions that stimulate your thinking, and you just free flow your thoughts into writing, right? And then we use AI to help pull that in, and we infuse marketing prompts and formatting so that we get really nice copy based on all the internal work you've done to define who you're serving and what they need.
So let's say there's someone out there, and please put any questions or comments if you're watching this live or the replay. And at the end, we'll address any comments or questions we have, or if we go back in the replay, we'll take a look at them as well. But tell the people, like, if they want to reach out to you, what is the best way for them to find you if they want to work with you?
All right. So I would recommend come to my LinkedIn, and Farah is also going to drop in the comments just all the ways that you can connect with me, but connect with me on LinkedIn. And yeah, it's everything that I model, everything that I teach, you will see in my LinkedIn. And I help nurses go from being invisible to irresistible so that your ideal client people are finding you. And we do that through heart-centered, AI-enhanced personal branding. And so, yeah, I have my first course out. I'm really excited about it. It's a LinkedIn profile transformation. And it's all based on, it's got those two parts. It's the personal branding setup first, and then we take the AI prompts and we help that are infused with the marketing principles, and we help to format your LinkedIn profile, because that is your face, right? This is where your focus needs to be, is on your social media profiles. And creating them so that you feel really proud of them and you feel like somebody can jump in, because they need to be drawn in within, like you said, you have 2 to 3 seconds to capture attention, or you're lost. It doesn't.
Right. And LinkedIn, let me tell you, as we talked about, let's say you are a new business owner and you're in that phase where you're like, oh, I don't have money for a website yet. I'm not sure what to even put in the website. Don't worry about the website. LinkedIn is your web page, essentially.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it also has, like, I'm not a big computer, like, SEO, whatever. Like, I'm not an expert in all that. However, search optimization, right? Like, people that search you on Google or whatever it is, if you have LinkedIn, you can be found, right? Okay. So optimize and it's done properly, clients will come to you. And there's opportunities for you to insert links, like to send them where you want to send them to, or whatever the case is. And let me tell you, in the DMs is where the deals go down. Okay.
Yes.
Like, most of my clients, whether they're new graduate nurses or like people looking to start businesses, LinkedIn is a gold mine when it comes to just connecting with people, even if it's not with business, right? Like, I've met so many people on LinkedIn where I've met them in real life. So LinkedIn, like, don't sleep on that. Definitely check out her course to be able to build that, that LinkedIn image that you really want if you want to start a business, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
everything that we teach in there, it will translate, even though it's for LinkedIn specifically, it will go across all profiles. Like, I just love LinkedIn because it is more of that fully developed almost web page.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's, so many people don't have everything filled out on there. And I probably need to go over there and like update a couple things myself. But the other big tip that I will say, let's say if you're trying to make the transition from, because most nurses are still working, and that's a big complaint. Like they don't want to be on social media. They think their employer is going to say something or whatever. I still say keep building, right? Still build your brand.
Yes.
And stop promoting your company or wherever you work more than you're promoting yourself, right? Yeah. Because the market is very interesting and we see what's going on. So this is why I even encourage you, let's say like, I'm not ready to build a business just yet. But again, there's never going to be a perfect time. But let's say you're not ready just yet. Start building that personal brand because it's important. Like, I'll give you a quick example. I meet so many nurses, they're like, oh, so I wrote a book. I'm like, I didn't even know I didn't even know you were writing a book. Like, why is this not blasted everywhere? Like, you should have announced that the moment you started writing the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then they try to, at the end when it's done and everything, and they're like, okay, let me start the marketing now. It's like, no. You got to like backtrack that a little bit. So I guess to end, before we end, what is your biggest advice to nurses out there, or, your clientele? What do you want to tell them about AI and business and personal branding?
Yes. Well, first off, in the links, there was a free guide that I have just put out, and it's all about like those critical pitfalls that we are making that we sabotage our client attraction profile. And so grab that. It's free. And one of the things that I think we get caught up in, especially as wellness professionals, is throwing out like all of our accolades, like all of our accreditation, everything that we like, all those little letters after our name.
Yep.
And if you're building a business, like what you need to think about on your LinkedIn profile, and this is a mindset shift, is it's not about you. It's about who you serve. And so we really need to get out of that ego and that mindset trap that we have to have that next certification or those letters behind our name in order to make an impact. Like, get out of it, right?
Guilty. I'm guilty of this. When I first started working with like my first business coach early on, that's what I led with all the time. I'm like, oh, I have my master's degree in education. I got my doctorate in it. I'm certified in this. And then she's like, Farah, she's like, stop talking about yourself. She's like, they don't care about that. She's like, do not lead with that. She's like, because if they want to look you up and look up, to see if you're credible, and they'll look you up later.
Find that.
Yeah, they'll find that later. Don't talk about that in the beginning, right? And I think a lot of people struggle with that in the beginning. Yeah, that is so funny. I was so guilty of that. And I think that's what nursing school teaches us, right? It teaches us that, but it then doesn't teach us how to just self-promote without putting all that stuff up front.
Yes, it's like you have to have this in order to be worthy to do this. And so like you might think, oh, I have to go get a master's in business, or I've got to do this before I can do my business. No, stop it, cut it. And I'm going to tell you, when people come to your profile, like Dr. Farah, when I first came to your profile, probably about a year ago, when I see everything you've accomplished, that voice in my head, and this is what's happening to your client, says, you're not good enough to associate It's the weirdest thing. Does that even make sense? Like, I can't even play in like, or it might be like, I can't even play at that level because this person has, excuse me, all of these credentials. Like, I can't do a business.
I mean, like it's intimidating for some.
Intimidating, yes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And then even like my profile, because I made a mistake and did a second LinkedIn profile, which I should have just worked off my first one. But what I did was I did not put any of my past employment at all. So
Yeah.
when people go on my LinkedIn profile, I don't have a work history that's related to my nursing career. I talk about some of the stuff in the About Me section, but I don't have like every job I just left that out. But if people want to find it, they could, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's very interesting. I mean, we have so much to like, I could talk about this for hours.
I know. We got to.
This is so much fun, but I'm telling you, if you want to, you know, explore all these things and work with Catherine, definitely connect with her on LinkedIn. I will drop all the links so that you can look into more of her work and what she does and how she can help you. And then, yes, okay, so I'll take any questions that you guys will have quickly. So Sandra says, I don't see any of the links with that item. Yes, because we haven't shared it yet. We'll share it right after the show. I'll drop all the links, but you can connect with her on LinkedIn. So connect with both of us. Do you have like a newsletter or anything they can subscribe to? Is that all in the links there?
It's in the link. So get that free guide and you'll be in to, yes, all the good stuff.
To receive all the good stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, literally just start now. That's my biggest advice. Just start, you know, stop overthinking everything because we just analyze too much. And the biggest tip I would say is just start taking action. And I did a LinkedIn post a little while ago, and I said, start ugly and just fix it later. Like, don't worry about it.
Yes. Yes. But we can help you.
Yeah.
Right? Or we can help you to where you feel comfortable and confident and excited about what you have to share with the world.
Yeah. So definitely connect with Catherine, connect with me. If you have any questions for us, like I said, drop it in the comments. If you have any thing you want to know, drop it. And then you can just DM us too, if you have any specific questions that you don't want to put out here. So thank you, Ava, for coming through. We appreciate it. And if, like I said, if you happen to be watching the replay, same thing, drop any comments or questions. We can always go back and look at them. And again, thank you so much, Catherine, for coming on. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for all that you shared. And then any last words for the group?
Oh, just I'm so excited to meet you, and I really would love to connect. And yes, grab my free guide, and so that it'll help you to kind of get that idea of how to shift your LinkedIn profile and like your social media profile so that it's service oriented and all about who you're going to serve and who you're going to impact. And let's go. Let's shatter our nursing income ceilings together.
Yes, let's go. Because honestly, there is so much money to be made out here, and a lot of nurses are not monetizing on, you know, what it is that they know, because you can start making money from what you already know right now. Okay. So again, thank you so much. Build that personal brand, start creating content, and please subscribe to the Nursing Dose with Farah, and please check out all of Catherine's links, and we'll see you next time. Take care.